Welcome to Back in the Dave. I'm your host, David Knight, and this is my latest release, Gentle. Hey, welcome to Back in the Dave. I'm David Knight, and you just heard my latest release. It's called Gentle. And I gotta be honest with you, I was a tiny little bit nervous about putting this out because what's very natural to me may not be so natural or feel so normal to the listener, you, the fan. It's very, very natural to me to sit down and just play the piano. The piano was a cornerstone in my music career at an extremely young age, right? Like a very, very young age. And so for me to sit down and just play something on piano is something that I do a lot. But it's not something that I put out as music, as a song, ever. But I decided to do it this time because with all that's going on inside of me, emotionally, and all that's going on within the world, I felt, you know what, why not just put out a song that's calming, that's peaceful, that's gentle? I mean, like, is there any other reason? You know, just to have something that's just gonna kind of cool out, you can just listen to and play. There's no super duper musicianship behind it or no cool jazz, you know, minor fifth and sub 5/7 or 5 and the minor 9 key. You gotta sit there and analyze all this jazz stuff or all this R&B and funk stuff. It's just chords that create a melody to relax the mind body, heart, and soul. That's its only intention. That's the only reason why I did it, right? Is to calm people down. If you want to go to a calm and quiet place, put on gentle and go there. Put it on rewind, replay, shuffle, whatever we call it. Put it on, just listen to it over and over and over and over again. That's the only reason for doing this song. And I gotta say, after putting out the video last week and the song and the response I got, I was nervous. But when I began seeing all the happy faces, thumbs go up, the hearts floating up to the top on Facebook, everybody's really getting into all the comments and stuff, I was like, wow, like, okay, they like it, they're embracing it, they enjoy it. So it was really exciting to release Gentle, but with the release of Gentle, it made me think, like, piano is a very natural thing for me. But many of my fans, people listening to my music, they don't really know that. So I wanted to share with you the piano and how the piano started in my life, what all kind of kicked it off as far back as I can remember, which for me is like 1968, as far back as this little dude right here. See this little guy right here? For those of you who watched the video, that's me in 1968, Davey D, right? And so that little dude, he was very in touch. He was very aware, very awake, and didn't know it, but like recording everything in his head, especially music. And one of the first songs that little dude put into his head that he loved, again, in my mom's car, in the backseat with my brothers, either going to the mall or going to one of my grandparents' house, this song came on the radio and it was game over at that point. Check it out. Soulful Strut. Okay, that's Soulful Strut, 1968. You see what I mean? The piano, well, that's the horn part of it, but that's how in tune I was. I heard everything. I was into the song, into the music, into the production, into everything. But the piano in that song, and then the horns, I mean, come on. It was over for me. It was really over. The piano in that song stood out like a sore thumb for me. And I loved it. It was one of the first early songs that pulled me in by the piano. It's like the song used the piano like kind of pull me in. Very clever, I missed this song, very clever, right? But then, piano ain't cool. So you got to go to something a little cooler, and for me, that was the drums. So I begged my parents to buy me a drum set. So they did. They bought me this drum set, and I really never played it. I set it up, I was excited about it, and I'm playing a little bit here and there, but it's boring. Why? Because at that time, I didn't realize at that time that it didn't have hi-hats. Those two little round small cymbals that are stacked type that go psh, 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 like in the beginning of the shaft, stuff like that. The drum set didn't come with a hi-hat and a hi-hat stand. So I couldn't get those sounds, and that drove me nuts. And I didn't know how to get a jazz swing sound by riding a cymbal and the hi-hat and the kick. I didn't know what to do at that time. I mean, this is like the late 60s, early 70s. I had no freaking clue. All I know is that the main sound of the drums wasn't there. I didn't know what the name of it was. I didn't know anything about it. All I knew from my ears and from records, it wasn't there. No matter how many times I sat behind that drum set to try to make every drum on that set sound like the hi-hats, it wasn't happening. So eventually I just kind of took them apart, tucked them away, and called it a day. And if you look at this picture right here, you'll see they're on my table stacked. This is a picture from like 1977. And you can see the drum set, the old drum set on my table just kind of stacked up where I kept it for all those years. I was 15 years old by this time. Never played it. So fast forward, once again, music and songs are still pulling me in. And by this time, the early 70s, this song came out, again, another one of those songs that made me stop and think. And that was Chicago, Color My World. That is a beautiful song. The piano is so dominant in that song. And the chord, it's all it is. Such a simple thing to play on the piano, it's ridiculous. But that song, again, pulled me in closer and closer to the piano. But we didn't have a piano in the house, right? Until for some really strange, odd reason, my parents decide to go out and buy my brother a piano. All right, cool. So we all hop in the car, I think it was one Saturday or one Sunday afternoon, and we go trucking into Manhattan from Queens, the Knights. Here we go, la, 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 la. We're going, right, off the piano store. We go to Lower Manhattan in the Village, and by this time, all the cobblestone from the early days of Manhattan are still in the road, from the cobblestone like the 1800s and all those years. All the cobblestone is still in the road, so you get the. I used to love that crap. You can see the old rails from the trolley cars from back at that time. All that stuff up here is gone now, but back then, it was still all over the place. Again, you're talking late 60s, early 70s. It was still all over the place. So now we go to this piano store. It was awesome. It was upstairs on the top floor, and what I remember being a brick building, and my mother's like, she's like, you don't remember that? You was too young. No, I remember. It's a brick building upstairs on like the top floor. We took the elevator up, one of those old ass elevators we took up from back in those days, lingerie, tires, you know, and we go up the elevator and we walk in. And it's this whole, I guess what at one point was an old warehouse, but was now a loft, right, in Greenwich Village of Manhattan. And all you saw was just a sea of pianos, just all pianos, upright pianos, concert pianos, grand pianos, baby grand pianos, just pianos, side to side, back to front, wall to wall, piano. I mean, you had to squeeze. There was so many you had to squeeze through them. There's just pianos all over the place. I was like a rat in a cheese factory. I'm all over the place playing the pianos. Right? I'm all over the place, just touching pianos, playing, just playing, hitting notes. And David, leave the damn piano alone. My mother's like, David, don't touch that piano. Okay, Ma. And I'm still hitting pianos. Right? I'm still playing these pianos, and I'm excited because they're buying a piano from my brother. So they thought. The piano gets delivered to the house. Don't remember when. I kind of sort of see that in my head a little bit, but I don't really like, if I can't really remember it, I don't want to speculate. Right? The piano was delivered to the house, put up against the back wall. There's a picture of the piano right there. It's the same piano that I use. If you look at the album cover, the album artwork for Gentle, that's the piano. I had a friend of mine who's an artist. She came in, and I gave her this picture. She's the artwork for me for Gentle, right? So it's the same piano that I learned that I played as a child and as an adult. Okay. Piano was there, waiting for my brother to play. But around the same time, my grandmother, Nana, my dad's mom, bought an organ. So she bought this organ, and she's bringing it. It was a huge organ, so they had to bring it through the front window of the house. They couldn't get the steps. They had to get cranes, all kind of stuff to bring this organ, take out the windows, all this kind of stuff they had to do. Right? Okay, so fine. They get the organ in the house, but my brother wants to be like Nana. Like we all had our, I won't say favorite adult, but my brother Anthony was really into Nana and my grandparents, my dad's parents. I was really into my dad. My brother Mark and my sister Chris, they were really into my mom, you know. And so we all had our favorite adults, I guess you want to call it that way. And so Anthony now wants to play organ. He never touched the piano. I can remember maybe a few times him playing that piano, but he took organ lessons with my grandmother. I can still hear that in my head to this very day. To this very day, my grandmother and my brother practicing on that organ and also taking lessons. We had to go into the back bedroom. They were taking lessons for that whole hour, 2 hours, whatever it was. They taking lessons. I had to go, and my brother Mark and Chris, we had to go to the back bedroom while they went into the living room with the organ, Mr. Stove, and take their organ lessons, right? There you go. There you have it. Me, on the other hand, I'm going home. I'm still doing this. I walked by the piano. It's calling me. And I'm doing it in the house now with this piano, what I did at the piano store a few years ago, just banging it. I walked by, piano saying, Dave, come play me, man. Come play me. I'd walk by. All kind of stupid crap I'm doing with it, right? All kind of stupid stuff. And then a song comes on the radio one day that just blows me away, like Color My World, like Soulful Strut. But this blows me away in a different kind of way, and it's piano driven. 1971, John Lennon's Imagine. That song is a work of art. Imagine is a work of art. The piano on that song is so simple, but yet so intricate, it's ridiculous. So me as a kid, I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool. That's like really kind of cool. Like, okay. But it doesn't really pull me to sit down and try to figure out how to play the song on the piano. I just hear it. Like these are like, I guess for lack of better words, like my musically formative years. Like I'm so into music and being dragged into music by like leaps and bounds. And I never discussed this with talked about to my siblings as a kid, or my mother or my dad, because what were they talking about? I love music. That was it. There was no conversation. I was too young. Hell, 1971, I was 9 years old. I turned 9 years old in August of 71. So what the hell am I going to sit down? You know, Dad, music is really pulling me in. I'm not a protege, so I didn't go through all of that kind of stuff. I really want to sit down and play the piano and learn all my chords and all my structures. Nope, didn't want to do that. Wasn't feeling it. Not at all, right? But I'm getting pulled into music. See, I'm not getting pulled into musicianship, though that's a big part of it. I'm into the songs because prior to me deciding to become a musician, I'm listening to songs. I'm listening to music. And the piano is a big part of that. And something would just energize me whenever I heard the piano in a song. And John Lennon's Imagine was just piano dominant. Piano dominant. It was ridiculous. To this day, I love that song. I plan to cover that song at some point in the relatively near future. That's how much I still love that song, right? So as the piano's pulling at me, and I'm walking by, all that kind of nonsense, one day, I decide I'm going to sit at the piano. And so I go up to the piano stool, right? I pull up the stool, and I'm very shy at this time. Let's be clear. I'm very shy at this time. So every opportunity that I got to just sit behind the piano when no one else was around to hear me play, I would do it. So one day I'm sitting there just playing the piano, and I'm just doing this. I'm just playing something like that. That's it. And I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. I'm all in. I'm all in with this. I'm just in it. And so every now and then, every opportunity that I got to sit behind the piano, my brother's piano, by myself, and play that stuff, I would just do it. But again, very shy. So this one Saturday afternoon, my mom is in the kitchen. She's in the kitchen on the phone. I don't remember 100%, but I'm assuming that she was talking to my grandmother, um, or one of her siblings, one of her brothers, or or her younger sister. Her youngest sisters were too young. They would have been talking to her on the phone by this time because they were, hell, my youngest aunt, Claudette, she's only 3 years older than me and 2 years older than my older brother. So my mother ain't gonna be on the phone talking to her, having a full blown out adult conversation with a 11, 12-year-old. Not gonna happen. So she was talking to one of my aunts, it was probably my Aunt Tony, right? But wasn't ever. She was on the phone talking to either a friend or someone, my grandmother, or one of her siblings. This is the perfect time for David to pull out the piano bench and sit behind the piano and play. Why? Because mommy's distracted. She ain't paying me any rabbit ass mind whatsoever as to the piano. So I can now sit there on this Saturday afternoon or Sunday, whatever it was, and play my little piano song for a little bit and then get up and go about my business, right? So I sit behind the piano. My mother's there talking, and I'm just playing. I'm playing. Next thing I know, my mom is peeking around the corner in the living room watching me play. David, who's that playing? That's me, Ma. That's you playing. That's me. Oh, play it again. I can't. What do you mean you can't? Play it again. I said, I don't know, Mom. Just make it up in my head. I just make it up. I can't play it again. She goes, you can't? I said, no, I can't play it again. She goes, oh, well, that's really good. I said, oh, thank you. So now, the black curtain's been pulled back on me. So now I'm going to get up now and get from behind the bench and stop playing, right? Because I've been busted. My mother done heard me play. She asked me to play it again, and I don't want to play it again. And no, hell no, not doing that. So I go back to my day with my brother and my sister playing what I'm doing. But now you move fast forward a few years later, and you have, well, before that even happened, hang on a second. Oh, my goodness. So what does my mother do? My mother sticks me in piano lessons, right? She puts me in piano lessons. And I'm like, ugh, you kidding me? So now I'm taking piano lessons from this woman. Her name, I believe, is Mrs. Tischler. I think that was her name. Lived in St. Albans off of Linden Boulevard. So those folks who know Queens, you know. And she was this old, crotchety white lady, right? Like, come and eat your porridge type person, right? And I really wasn't feeling her. And her piano, I remember her piano saying all out of tune and everything. But she sat me down now at her piano. So let me go back here. And I sat at the bench, right? And I'm at her piano now. But now she has a book that she folds in half. And she's teaching me notes. And she's teaching me stuff like, and she's teaching me fingering, how to put my fingers properly on the keyboards and stuff like that. And I'm like, ill, okay, but I'm doing it because, you know, by this time, like 1972, I'm 10 years old, so I'm going on to program. My mom heard me play piano one day, so she took me these daggone piano lessons, and that was that. So I'm learning all this stuff, these chromatic scales. Yeah, all right, cool, whatever. But then she whips out this book. She takes out this book. And this book, she says, I want you to learn this song. All right, cool, peace. And this was the song. Let's see if I remember this bad boy. This was the song if I remember. remember that crap. Oh my God, I remember it. So that was a song. It was like Porky Pig. It was a pig song about a pig. I remember the picture with this pig dancing with like a flute and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, in the meantime, I'm hearing all these cool ass songs on the radio with piano and stuff. I want to play that. You know, I want to play those things. I don't want to sit here and play. But it became kind of funny because that little pig song had lyrics. Let's see if I can remember the lyrics. And remember, this is this guy. For those who watch the video, this is this guy doing all of this. This is not Adult Dave. This is this dude doing all of this at the time. All right. So let's just be clear about that. So I want to see now because I'm still thinking songs in my head. Let's make this to a song, not knowing that I'm really focusing on songs and not being a musician here. So I sit down and go like this. Porky Pig can dance. Porky Pig can sing. Porky Pig can dance and sing. What a lovely thing. I remember that crap. You're talking over 50 years. I remember that damn song. All right? Though I never practiced it. So how do I remember it? I never practiced it. So long story short, all of a sudden, I wasn't going to Mrs. Tischler's house anymore. I wasn't going there anymore. What? It's funny as hell. And I didn't find out until maybe a few years ago, honestly. My mom and I were talking about this whole story about her catching me play piano, you know, and her asking me to play it again and stuff like that. She put in piano lessons and stuff. But I wasn't practicing. And so Mrs. Tischler called my mom and told my mother, don't ever send him back here. Period. Don't send him back. And so for all these 5+ decades, right? These 5 freaking decades, I'm like, what would have happened to that? My mom said, Dave, she told me don't send you back because you didn't practice, you didn't do nothing, you didn't learn anything. I was like, oh, that's what happened. I'm almost 62 years old now, and I'm finding that out now. But hey, I can share with all y'all, all right? So basically, Mrs. Tischler kicked my black ass out. Don't send him back over here because he don't want how to play piano. He don't want to know. That's it. And not too much has changed with me since then. That's been an issue in my life all of my life. But that's another episode. All right. So, but at this same time, getting kicked out of Mrs. Tischler's piano course, other things were going on. I'm going to drop back down to my piano here. Right? Let me drop back down. And there was a song on the radio at that time that once again captured my attention. And it was the melody. It was the melody of this song. And it went something like this. That's Porky Pig. See him messing up. Hang on. Ben by Michael Jackson. That was on the radio. It was a huge hit, written by Don Black, the same dude who wrote To Sir with Love, which was a song I loved back in 1968, right? For me to sit down and play Ben on the piano, I went out and bought the sheet music, which I still have to this day. I bought the sheet music so I would learn the chords and the melody and play on the left hand and the right hand. And I learned how to play Ben at that time, right? It's interesting because I love Ben, I love the song, but something at that same time, this is how everything began to come together slowly but surely. Because at that same time, I was in Horizon School. And in Horizon School, this was a school for kids who had special needs, which I did have. a slow learner, slow reader, slow thinker. I was just slow thinker, a slow reader. I didn't know at that time that my nervous system was being traumatized by my dad and my family stuff. And it was producing itself in school. So I'm going to this special school called Horizon. It's a private school that my parents put me into. But in Horizon School, there was a piano in our class. And you've heard me say the name Mrs. Hasher and Mrs. Streitman. Those were my teachers, along with the rest of my classmates, Matthew, Corey, Beth, Maureen, Tony, Susan, which I'm still in touch with to this day, Wayne. I mean, wow, the list just goes on. But in our classroom, we had a piano, right? And me, Mr. Cool, Dave, I'm the only African-American kid like in the class, in the school and everything, so I'm cool. I'm thinking I'm playing my stuff and I'm having fun, having a good time. Driving Mrs. Hasher and Mrs. Streitman up the friggin' wall is what I'm doing. But that's all right. I'm having fun. That's all that mattered to Davy D. This guy, once again, didn't give a who shot Mary Lou in the cornhole. This guy was just having fun, right? So it's all good. But this cat came into school. His name was David Ferrin. Now, I don't remember his position in the school because Richard Allison was the director and the founder, Dr. PJ was the principal, and David Ferrin, he, I believe, reported to Dr. Piaget. So I don't know what his title was. So Mrs. Hash and Mrs. Streitman, if one of y'all remember, or one of my classmates, Beth, Maureen, Corey, Matt, whoever, y'all remember what his title was, let me know because I don't know, right? But he was sharp. David came in with the big collar, with the shirts, with like a blue shirt, with the big giant 1972, 73 collars, with a jacket that was like checkerboard, blue and white and hues of green and stuff like that, and pants that matched it. When that had a big collar too, he was cool. He wore these glasses that remind me of like what Lionel Richie used to wear before Lionel Richie actually wore them, you know? And this dude is really cool, and he would wear bell-bottom pants. Yeah, man, bell-bottom pants from the 70s with these big bell-bottom pants, and he would wear black platform shoes with the heels and the black and the platform. This was a white dude that drove that walked like a brother. I was like, yo, who's it? And again, I'm not thinking long. I'm saying this stuff now at 61 years old. At 9 or 10 years old, he's just cool to me. But for some reason, on a subconscious level, David Ferrin reeked of music to me. And I don't know why, but he did. And it came out one day during school dismissal. So when they had to let out each class and all students, dismiss the students at the end of the day onto our little yellow buses, they would say, QP70 can leave now. So whoever was on QP70, they would dart out from their individual classes and go downstairs and get on their bus, and that was it. Well, during that time, I guess it was a strategy that Mrs. Hash and Mrs. Streitman came up with to calm my little ass down, you know, because I was bouncing off the walls. I mean, God, I was bouncing off the walls back in those days. It hasn't changed a hell of a whole lot now either, but it's got a little better control over it now, right? And what they would let me play the piano in the classroom during dismissal. So I'm always playing Ben with my right hand, and any other song I knew, I played my right hand, that was it. Well, one day, David Ferrin walks in the room because he was now in charge of doing the dismissals every day after school. Has a piece of paper, had all the kids' name on the paper, the buses they were on, what buses was outside, and the whole 9 yards. Well, he came in this one day, and I'm playing the piano. And I guess I'm playing Ben on my right hand. I don't remember 100%. I think I'm playing Ben on my right hand like I normally do. He said, oh, you think you're so good? They're like, yeah, I think I'm so good, Mr. Ferrin. I think I'm really kind of cool. You know, whatever I said. I don't know. I'm making this all up right now. And he said, well, scoot over. So I slide over on the piano bench. He goes, go ahead and play what you're playing. I'm like, huh? Go ahead and play what you're playing. Okay. I start playing Ben. When I start playing Ben, he on his right hand plays the chords. On his left hand, he's playing all the bass lower notes. And I'm like, what? And I'm playing the right hand solo action, the right hand, the melody, what Michael was saying, I'm playing that. And it's a full freaking song that I hear in my head. It's the full, I'm Michael Jackson, I'm Ben, I'm the man. Look how good I sound. I sound great, don't I? Yo, homeboy David's doing all the work. David Ferrin, he's doing all the work, but I sound good. You know, Leo, Lion, Ego, what can I tell you? You know, but I'm so happy. I'm so proud of myself. And he's just playing Ben in his left and right hand. I'm playing the melody. And in my mind, it's a band. It's a band, man. Like, I wasn't hearing just the piano. I was hearing the band. I was hearing a bass player. I was hearing a drummer. I was hearing a guitar player. I was hearing Michael Jackson sing the lyrics. I was there in Motown Studios recording Ben. That's what I heard in my head. That's how I felt at that minute. I was giddy. I could not express this stuff at that time, but that's how I felt. That's what I was thinking. That's what I heard in my head. So again, I have to say this again. It's not, for me, it's not about musicianship. And as my career went on, as I got into my teens, because at this time, this is like 1972, so I'm 10. So as I got into my teens, and I made the choice to be a musician when I was 14, well, I was 13, going on 14, the year my brother was killed, you know, I'm just thinking, I'm just going through this whole thing. I'm making choices. And it's like, wow, okay, I'm hearing songs. So throughout my whole life, most of my musician friends are into being musicians. They're into being guitar players. They want to be the best guitar players they can be. They want to be the best drummers they can be. They want to be the best trumpet players and keyboard players and synthesizer players that they can be. And by the time I make this choice, because when my brother was killed in April of '76, I began to take stock of my life and say, okay, well, Mark died at age 12 a few weeks ago. What am I going to do? I'm 13. I'm going to be 14 in August. What am I going to do with my life? I started paging back, and I sucked in school. I got bad grades in school, everything. The whole thing I decided to do was I can play the piano, right? I can play it. I'm pacing back to think about all those songs, Soulful Strut, Color My World, Imagine. But now I'm playing Ben with Mr. Ferrin in class and stuff. I can do music. And that's when I made the choice to become a musician. But not subconsciously. Consciously, I made a choice to become a musician. Subconsciously, I was really making a choice to be a writer and a composer. And there was always this duality, especially in my early years of music. I was going to say, in my early years of music, there's duality because most of my musician friends and colleagues, play that part, play that line. But I'm trying to get songs down. I'm trying to hear songs in my head and write songs and all that kind of stuff. Well, that all changed. That all began to change. And why? Now it's 1977. I'm going to drop back down to my piano here. And now it's 1977. And it changed because of this. That changed the game for me. That was it. When I heard Easy, I was like, oh, something else inside of me deeper clicked, right? Something else deeper clicked that brought me closer and closer, again, subconsciously, into writing songs, not being a musician. Though by this time I made a choice to be a bass player. I made a choice in 76 to be a bass player. Why? Because as much as I love the piano, as much as all these songs drew me in with the piano, when I asked myself what I want to do in music in April of 76, my answer was, I want to play that instrument that goes boom, 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 boom. Didn't know what it was. So I went to Matthews Music in Roosevelt Field in Long Island and asked the guy what instrument does. He said, oh, it's a bass guitar. I was hearing so much more bass than what I was of piano. The bass, the piano drew me in, but the bass sucked me in. So it was a very natural choice to decide to play bass. Now, I bugged my parents to buy me a bass guitar. You heard the story before. And they refused to buy me a bass guitar. Why? Because they had just bought me a drum set a few earlier years and gave me drum lessons. Sucked at that. Didn't stick with the drum lessons. Heard me play the piano. Gave piano lessons. Didn't stick with that. Didn't practice. We're not buying you a bass guitar, man. You out of your freaking mind. So we can buy you now a $600 bass guitar and you don't play and take lessons. Not doing it. Not doing it. So as the story goes, I asked my grandparents and they finally bought me the bass guitar in the summer of 1977. And until that time, I played the 4 strings on my sister's acoustic guitar to prove to my family that I really, really wanted to play bass. And by this time also, I was digging deeper and deeper into the piano. So I would go back and learn piano songs that I had loved back in the day. Like I'd play Sweet Love by the Commodores, again, a Lionel Richie song. But Easy was the game changer. In the spring of 77, when I heard Easy play, I was like, oh, wow. But it was a game changer, not in terms of me now being a dedicated pianist, playing the piano. No. Now, that sparked me, write songs, fool. Write songs. So I began going to the piano to write songs. But there was this cusp period before all this happened. There was this cusp period in 1976. There was a song that kind of brought together both elements for me, both the piano and the bass, but also songwriting. This song to me is still one of my favorite songs ever. I will probably at some point when I get a little bit better cover this song, but check it out. 1976, George Benson, This Masquerade. George Benson, 1976, on the Breezin' album. I mean, like, the piano to me, if you were able to play that song on crystal glass, that's what that piano sounded like to me. It was like sparkling crystal glass playing in my mind at 14 years old, right? This is summer of 76 now. And This Masquerade, the bass in that song pulled me in because now I told my parents I want to be a bass player. So I'm listening to all bass stuff, all bass, all this bass stuff I'm listening to over and over and over again. And I'm listening to piano also. But now with This Masquerade and then a year later with Easy coming out, I'm all in terms of piano, bass, songwriting, piano, bass, songwriting. Now, but by this time now in 77, I joined the band with Johnny, Vinny, and Clayton. Johnny on guitar, Vincent, his younger brother on drums, Clayton on keyboards and piano and synthesizer, and me on bass. And I'm molding all this stuff together in my head. And again, I don't know because now by this time I'm 15 years old. I don't know. But bass is my thing. I'm learning how to play bass better and better, right? And at the same time, I'm now in the house with my family, and I'm just going up and down, up to my bedroom, play the bass for a few hours, run back down to the living room, and play the piano. That same piano that my parents bought for my brother, I'm playing it now. My brother ain't playing it. That's my piano. No one in that house played that piano other than me. My brother would sit at it, and he played the entertainer. He'd play that on every once in a while to see, I guess, if the songs that he was learning on the organ would translate to piano. He'd sit down and play every once in a while. once every 2 or 3 years, he'd do something like that. But in terms of who played that piano, I played it. And here's a picture of the piano. And if you look at the Gentle cover, I gave this artist, her name is Ty, and we'll talk about her on another episode, but I gave Ty this picture and asked her to come up with the album cover for Gentle. So the piano that she drew in Gentle for the Gentle album cover is the actual piano that I learned how to write songs on, because now by this time I want to write songs. It's more to me than there's more to it to me than just being a musician. And I realized very later on in life and very early in my career that as much as I love the bass, as much as I love playing piano, as much as I love the drums, I love writing songs. I felt very early on that being a musician for me was very limiting, because my brain is hearing horns. My brain is hearing synthesizers. It's hearing a kick drum by itself, a snare drum by itself. It's hearing all these other walls of sound and all these other timbres and architecture of sounds other than bass and other than piano. Those are now what I call the tools to get me to writing and producing. But almost every song that I've released thus far, Fantasy World, Take It Higher, Gentle, and the upcoming songs, The Awakening, upcoming song, Lady of the Sun, these are all songs that started out primarily on the piano. Now, if it's a heavy bass-driven song, I may have written that song on bass. But sometimes I'm playing the piano, and I'll play the bass notes on the piano and then translate it on my bass guitar later on. I'll do that. And I'll sit behind the drums. And if you look around the studio, what do you see? Like, if I was to take a camera around the studio, which I really can't do right now because all of my cameras are mounted, so maybe I shouldn't say this, but what the hell. When you look around that corner over there, you see the drum kit over there. If you look behind me, you see my bass guitars. And you heard me playing the piano. I have two pianos in here. I have a 61-key piano, which acts as a piano and a synthesizer. And then I have an 88-key piano keyboard over there as well that acts like a concert grand wooded piano as well. So that I get the feeling of playing an actual wooded piano, but it's not a wooded piano because I don't have space in here to put a baby grand in here. But once we get our place built, a grand's going to go in, right? So that's my piano journey. That's what led me to release Gentle. I mean, that's what took me there. All these songs. So if I come back down here and just sit here for a minute and play something like you see, it's the melody. It's the melody, it's the song, it's the chords, it's the arrangements, it's stuff like that. If I take this, you see, let's move on, which will be released next year. Can't wait. So there's other songs as well. Visions. Mess it up at the end, but you get the point, right? So those are just a few of the songs that I write and have written on piano. And I have newer ones that are coming up even now. I mean, Gentle was one of the most recent ones I wrote on piano. So piano has been such an integral part of my career, of my music, because it's like the center stage. Because for me, the most important thing is the song. And where so many of my friends and colleagues growing up back in that time would really beat me down mentally because they would laugh at me because I would love Lionel Richie and Barry White and all these people that really were not the best musicians. So they were into like Earth, Wind and Fire and all the jazz stuff and Chicago's musicianship, all kind of stuff. And I loved all those bands and groups and artists as well. And I can talk, the musician talk with them as well, but I was never listening from a musician standpoint. I was always listening from a songwriter's standpoint because the song is everything. And the main instrument that most composers will sit down and play to write a song is the piano, right? It's the piano. And so that's my piano story. That's what made me sit back and do what I normally did. When I got angry that day, I didn't know, like, well, that's not how that story went. I got angry that day. And typically when I get angry, I do not come in the studio and play and do stuff because I don't want to sit here and do and bang out anger, right? I don't want to do that. I want to come in here and create, and I can't create when I'm angry. But that one particular day, I said, you know what? You're angry. Go in the studio and just play a little something. Just mess around the piano. I did. And when I did that, Gentle is what came out. And when you hear the recording of Gentle, when you hear it, you hear what I played once the anger went away and what began to come up out of me from the anger just by playing the piano. And I want Gentle to do that for you as well. So if you're angry, put Gentle on. If you're feeling nervous, put Gentle on. You just want some peace of mind, play Gentle. If you just want to relax, put on Gentle. If you're in your car, in traffic, or just frustrated, just put on Gentle and let it play through 2, 3, 4 times, or whatever it takes to calm you down. That's why I wrote the song. And I put it out at its most vulnerable period. When my anger dissipated and all the peace and calm came over me, those 2.3 or 3.25 minutes of me playing is what I captured. I just happened to hit the record button, and that's what I captured, that's what I played. So you're not hearing, when you play Gentle, you are not hearing me play it 3 and 4 times. I got down to perfection so it sounded great, and I edited it out, and I did all this. No, you are just hearing raw friggin' piano, simply played, because I'm not a pianist. I can't sit here and play a whole bunch of fancy stuff. When I need to have that happen, I will call in one of my many friends who play piano and have them play it for me if I can't do it. I use the piano to play, to write songs and to compose. But my journey to get to that point, I thought was a really cool story. And I wanted to, coming off the heels of Gentle success, I wanted to share that story with you. So if you get a moment, Gentle is still available at the website. It is free. People are downloading this thing left and right. It's kind of freaking me out because I really wasn't expecting this kind of I wasn't expecting this kind of feedback from the song. I wasn't expecting the song to be embraced the way it has been. So people are downloading it left and right. So get your copy. It's not going to run out because it's a digital song. So I'm not going to. Supplies will last. Don't worry about it. But go ahead. davidknightcompose.com, and you see at the top of the screen, it's all in black, and click on the button there, and it'll take you to a shopping cart. Put your information in there and get your copy of Gentle and just enjoy it. It's my gift to you because I am so happy. First, I just want this song to touch your heart and soul in a very special way and to peace you out and to calm you down. Second, it's just me giving back. Me saying, hey, here's a song that will hopefully help you heal and make you feel good. It's free. It's a free download. There's no money at all. If you buy from the website, it's free. If you go to iTunes and Amazon, those folks, there's a charge for it there. But on the website, it's going to be free at the website. So whatever floats your boat, it'll be on Spotify as well. It will not hit distribution, Spotify, Amazon, iTunes. It won't hit all of those things until I believe the first week in July is when it's going to hit all of that. But get the free version. Go to the website, davidknightcompose.com/gentle and download it. Let's go out with Gentle. I'm going to play it for you one more again. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the love and for embracing Gentle. I appreciate it so much. And be gentle. Here we go. Bye-bye. As my grandmother would say, keep on living. Night out.